Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Daily World News Commentary. Let me start the episode today by talking a little bit more about the Iranian deal issue. I made a special episode about it earlier in the day. You'll find the link for it in the description. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to reiterate or address because as the day went by, I've heard a variety of news people, reports talking about it, and I did some more research and I wanted to clarify certain things. So, number one, no, Iran was under no obligation to reveal the extent of their knowledge of nuclear technology, like what Ben Shapiro, for example, suggested. And no, of course, Iran is not going to stop pursuing nuclear weapons after the deal is over. I don't know why anyone would think that. And yes, we can be sure that Iran has no capability to physically carry on its nuclear program, as the US intelligence services have confirmed, and as the 150 inspectors that work for the International Atomic Energy Agency have ensured is the case during their work in Iran from 2009 to 2015, and their continued monitoring of the situation since 2015. They use specialized equipment for detecting radioactive materials, and they have full and open access to any facility they wish to investigate. All the main components of the Iranian nuclear program have been dismantled and shipped to various countries around the world, and that includes the raw material as well. Nevertheless, it seems that Israel is preparing for war with Iran inside Syria. We have reports from 3 US officials that have confirmed that Israel was behind the recent attack on the Iranian weapons locations in Syria. Netanyahu got the approval of the Knesset, which is the Israeli parliament, to grant him the right to declare war, with the approval of his defense minister being the only requirement. And what would be the result? Well, if Russia indeed transfers the advanced S-300 air defense system to Syria as planned, then Israel will not be able to use its weapon of choice, which is its air force, and might resort to other means, including rocket launching, land-based forces, or special forces operations. The Kurdish militias are likely to be on the Israeli side in such a scenario, given the continuous reassurance from Israel that it will do what it can to get the Kurds their own state. Unlike the US, who always packs and leaves after every fight the Kurds have helped in winning, Israel is interested in building a long-lasting relationship with the Kurdish militias, as they have proven their fighting prowess. Israel doesn't have a lot of local allies, and the Kurds don't either. Now, speaking of the Kurdish militias, in Syria, the Kurdish militias are pushing to finish off ISIS. We can see right there, the yellow is the territories that fall under the Kurdish control, and we can see that they are preparing for a one final push, one final offense against ISIS in these pockets that are shown here in gray. So we got these areas right here, and we got this one right there, and then we got these areas right here. And there's been a couple of incidences around this area. For example, we got an explosion of oil refinery in the area under the Kurdish militia's control. And also in Deir ez-Zor, there's been fighting occurring between the Kurds and the Syrian government forces, which was repelled by the Kurdish fighters existing in Deir ez-Zor. Now, since we are on the map here, we can also show where the Syrian government is making its current offenses. Again, the green is the areas under control of rebels of all sorts and kinds, while the red is the areas under control of the Syrian regime. This little green right here is the current main focus of the Syrian government. After they have finished off ISIS pockets that existed in Damascus, the capital, they're focusing their main attention right here. Helicopters are assembling to participate in the attack. Got Syrian army infantry moving in that direction, and we've got a ceasefire occurring between the rebels in the area and the Syrian regime, mediated by the Russians. According to this deal, or according to this ceasefire, the fighters are free to leave the area and go to Idlib. Again, Idlib is up right there. It's the main epicenter of the remaining last pocket of rebel-held areas. Of course, there are some rebel-held areas along the Israeli borders, so we'll see right there. And these are really not major pockets. They are hard to fight because of continuous interference from Israel, for one thing, and because of the support from the US, which has its bases in Jordan right here, and of course this little tiny pocket of rebels as well. So these are very minor and really does not represent the as a metric to the power of the rebels. Really, the power of the rebels or the downfall of the rebels can be anticipated right here in Idlib. Anyway, moving on. In the latest occurrences in the U.S. trade war, the deadline for deciding on permanently exempting the European Union, Mexico, and Canada from the tariffs on imported steel and aluminum has been postponed for 30 days. It was due to expire today or tomorrow, I believe, but it's been postponed for another 30 days. It's causing what we may call anxiety and annoyance among the European leaders. Now we move to Armenia. In Armenia, we said yesterday that things are looking good. Looked like there's a political maturity coming from the ruling party, HHK, but it has turned around and became a blatant disregard to the ongoing protests of thousands of people in the street, demanding for an end to the monopoly of the elite over the political scene. The ruling party has a majority in the parliament, and that allowed it to block the nomination of the opposition leader to the seat of the prime minister. The reason they gave was that the opposition leader, shown here in the picture, does not have the qualities required to be a prime minister, which I guess would be the ability to play ball with them, or maybe to have the backing of powerful groups. Classic politics. Anyway, the opposition leader has in return called for general strikes, which is expected to shake the country for real. Moving on. In Lebanon, Hezbollah, the Shiite militia group backed by Iran, urges high voter turnout in Lebanese elections. As you know, the Lebanese elections are ongoing right now. There are a lot of breaches to the peaceful nature that the elections should have. There's been a lot of street fighting and harassment of candidates and whatnot. But amid all of that, Hezbollah urges high voter turnout. And it's funny how Hezbollah is now getting all democratic, right? In a speech to supporters in the eastern city of Baalbek on Tuesday, Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah himself, who by the way never appears in real life, he's always appearing on a giant screen, because of course if he appears himself, the Israeli airstrike would be on him before he can say hello guys. So Hassan Nasrallah says that the group needs political protection against those conspiring against it, and that this protection is afforded by your votes. Interesting. Democracy can and will be used to provide legitimacy, but if it's not readily usable, force and intimidation will do just fine. And you can look back to 2008 for an example of what Hezbollah would do to Lebanon if it doesn't have its way. As you can see, Hezbollah just decided to seize West Beirut in what was pretty much a military coup in that sense. The Lebanese army was too weak to respond, and Hezbollah had to gracefully end the seizure, basically. That's it for today. It's a short one because honestly I didn't see much news that I can comment on, and also to really not go around and put news that I don't believe I can comment on or I can provide useful information on just for the sake of maintaining a certain time on the video. That's not how I would like to do this. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow and have a great day.